and welcome to another episode of Goblin Talk. Today we have a very special guest, one of my closest friends in the whole world, the graphic designer for the World Wrestling Entertainment and the drummer for the world-renowned band, Dr.Acula. Da-da-da-da! Jay Dino! Woo!
Wow.
What's up, Jay?
I gotta pay attention now. I wasn't expecting that kind of an intro.
Pretty good, right?
It was pretty good. I would have preferred like an opening orchestra and like a whole graphics package, but you did fine. I just would have expected a bigger budget for the show, I guess.
Pyrotechnics.
It's fine. Yeah, no, it's fine. I would have expected something, an audience maybe 20 or 30 people to show up at my house.
Hopefully some people will actually watch this video, so
oh yeah,
that'll be the audience we get.
Trust me, I'm interesting. I'm a hunk too, so I'm easy on the eyes, so people are gonna click on this one.
Definitely. So Jay, we've known each other since 2018. I want to say maybe late, like the last month of 2017. It's been a while now.
Jeez, I mean, I think I was a sophomore in college. I think so.
No, I was just into freshman year. And
we're the same age.
Yeah, aren't we the same age?
Yeah. Yeah, we're the same age. So, I guess end of freshman year, maybe then. I don't really know.
So,
I don't really remember.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying to think. I remember I was in my ex-girlfriend's apartment when we met on the musician Tinder.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, musician Tinder.
Say, we met the weirdest way. It was an app called Vamper. I don't even know if it still exists.
No one knows about it.
Yeah, but basically you put your abilities as a musician on the app, and then you swipe right when you see people. Like, say, I'm looking for a drummer. You swipe right on drummers and try and see if you have similar interests. And I needed a drummer for my band, so I was swiping right on every drummer that came up because, drummers are like unicorns. They're very hard to find, and they all have 5 or 6 bands that they play in. Am I wrong? Yeah.
No, I mean, exactly. Spread thin.
Luckily, I found Jay, and I found another guy to play guitar for us, Diego. You haven't seen him in a
Diego.
while.
I saw Diego. I don't want to completely distract from the story, but I saw Diego. I didn't see him this past year, so it's been since the whole wrestling thing, which I'm sure we'll dive into later. But yeah,
eventually.
We formed a band through Vamper. And we were probably the only band to ever form through Vamper. We were probably the only success story for that app.
I want to hear a story 20 years from now. The next Pantera would be oh, we met on Vamper.
That's us. I'm just saying. We'll get the old band back together. No, and through that we started you had already started, but we really kind of formed the first iteration of Two-Face Fist.
Live version of the band. It was just all studio before that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was kind of the first. Yeah.
My band, Two-Face Fist. So Jay joined the band, and a few months later, we were all in college at the time, but we were able to meet up. I think it was for maybe Thanksgiving break or something.
Wow.
I drove to Connecticut to pick up Jay from the train station. That was a real leap of faith for Jay because he met a guy on Vamper, barely knew me, but there was promise of being in a band, and he was willing to go through with it. I mean, in those kinds of situations, I always have the same kind of paranoia. Is this person real? But usually, if you at least hop on a FaceTime, you could kind of trust it.
I'll tell you what went through my head. I don't know. I've met lots of people from the internet since then. I mean, I think most people that are in the musician world and play shows kind of get familiar with meeting people online and then meeting them in real life shortly thereafter, which is always weird. But I think this was my first instance of doing that. So what went through my head was, this guy's legit because he has demos. But what didn't go through my head is how easy it could be for someone just to find a demo of anything on YouTube. Be this is mine, But I hopped in your car.
Copy and paste Linkin Park Hybrid Theory.
Exactly.
This is my car, so I can kill you.
I have free Linkin Park written on the side of my van. But I hopped in and, you were real. You were there. You were a 50-year-old creep. I hopped in and we drove to New Jersey. We had our first practice.
And that was how we first got to know each other. And we went to New Jersey. And then I'll always remember, it was my first time meeting Diego, too, in person.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say this. I fucking knew it.
We were standing in my driveway, and Diego walks up to us. And keep in mind, none of us really knew each other. It was like a week of talking in a group chat.
In a group chat, yeah. So not even like personal, just like very like, here's memes, here's like, I love that band. Like nothing like, no camaraderie had built. We were just getting to know each other.
And the first thing Diego says to me and Jay is, "Hey, C words."
Yeah, he fucking dropped the hard C. And at that time, I mean, look, I wasn't a pansy growing up, but I wasn't using that word. Not around the house, not with my friends. I was
never used that word.
I was like, who is this kid? And then
what an intro.
Yeah, and then our practice space was an hour away, which that was hilarious.
No, but what did you think right after you heard him say that?
I was already done. I think to this day, I still can't take Diego very seriously as a person, because that's the first thing. I know he's going to watch this, so that's the first thing I think about when I see you. Every time. And that's, I mean, but look, he made a lasting impression. I think that's what he wanted. So.
I remember what you said to me a little while after that happened. You said, I trusted Paul and everything, and I knew the band was real. And then as soon as Diego said that, the first thing that popped into my head was, oh, this is a fake band.
To be fair, also, he rolled up. I mean, we were all young, but he looked like a little kid. And I mean, that's just genetics at play. He was 3-4 years older. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I still look like a little kid, so I shouldn't be talking. But that's what went through my head too. I was like, oh my God. But we went to a practice space, and on the drive there, we almost totaled your fucking car fighting over the iPhone over which song to play. Do you remember that? How close we were to slamming? And that's the only time I've ever been in a car and had a close call like that. All the others were just accidents.
I'm super paranoid driver. I drive very slow. I'm super defensive. And in that scenario, we had a full car. Eddie was with us too, the bass player, and my friend from my hometown. But I was driving, and I was trying to focus on the road, and everybody was screaming different song recommendations. Guys, we gotta listen to this! We gotta listen to this! And then somebody would grab
Alien weaponry! Alien weaponry!
I remember that. And I looked back for like 1 second, and in that 1 second, the entire left lane of the highway stopped. Like, what are the odds of that?
It was that quick, and I just remember Diego screaming, "Watch out!" And that was the only time Diego has ever done anything for us. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, but an hour after knowing him, our relationship had peaked in the first hour of knowing him. So, Diego, if you're watching this, just know that.
Diego, you've done more for us. Let's say that.
Diego's a good guy. We shit on him because
I don't know about for Jay, but for me.
We shit on Diego because we love him. But yeah, that was real and that was crazy, and we came close. I remember what Eddie said
on the brakes, and it was
it was loud. It was straight.
Like,
you were
rubber.
Standing on like the car seat, stepping on that brake, and Eddie was just like, "You were fine. You were already moving into the other lane." I remember just like the other lane has cars. You're just gonna move into more cars? So we came close. But yeah, that was, and then we got to the practice space.
That first practice was actually awesome. The one thing I can say, everybody really knew their shit for that first practice. You were obviously the tightest.
Thank you. No, we sounded great.
The easiest. Just the vocals, of course.
I think we all did good for our first practice. And then it was our only time playing this one song, I think. Yeah. In fact, it never came out. It was called Dr. Piss.
That's still a great song.
You remember that? So
I know you don't like it though.
We played it once, and I was just like, I'm never playing that again. And I didn't expect that to stay until after I left the band, but you know.
Dr. Piss was just a temporary name. There was a bunch of bands I knew that would do like goofy names for the temporary name, but we just never thought of a better one, so we just always called it Dr. Piss. But I'm so glad that we never deleted those videos. Remember you wanted me to delete all the old videos from the Instagram?
No. Oh, of us in Rockaway? Yeah, man, that's all like, and that wasn't even that long ago, but that's just like,
like
From the
ego
first
shit. You know what I
practice.
mean? But now,
I still have it, dude.
is that the very first one? Do I have a hat on?
I definitely have a video of you drumming. Yeah, look, you're wearing the hat in the background.
Panda hat?
Dude, what
Yikes.
a time, dude. You
I
can
have to
see
say,
how
though,
passionate I am right there.
I love that it's still up. I want people to go check it out because that's like, you know, back then I was like embarrassed by it because, you know, it was like a stepping stone. Not even embarrassed, but more like I was progressing so quick that 6 months from the last time I was drumming, I didn't even want anyone to see because I was already so much better. I was just grinding. And I'm still grinding, but now that I've gotten a lot better, even from that point, I start to plateau and it's less noticeable.
But now it's like I'm really happy that stuff's up because it chronicles the beginning of our friendship, but also I think the beginning of us as like really professional musicians, which is, you know, it's not like
we're not career musicians, but we definitely take it seriously. So that's a cool thing to see and to have documented for everyone.
And we've gone down very different paths musically since then. But one thing I want to kind of transition to is, you know, if you have other stories from Two Face Fish, or if I do, we'll obviously bring it up. But for now, I want to move more into you drumming specifically. So my first question is, what age were you when you started drumming? And my second question is, what were the biggest inspirations for you as a drummer? And I think I know the answers, but I still want to hear what your answer is in 2024 because it might change since the first time I asked you.
Yeah, for sure. So my first exposure to like drumming was, I think, just like Rock Band. I think so many. In fact, it was all right. It wasn't just that. So I had a friend. So good answer already not invalidated. Forget everything I said in the last 10 seconds. No, I had a friend. His name was Fuad. He played drums, and so his dad, like, before it was even that kind of big, saw Rock Band at the store and immediately picked it up. So he was like first kid on the block with this plastic drum kit, and I went over to his place. And he was playing drums, so he was never playing guitar like most people. He was always on the drum kit, and I was always on the drum kit too. I'd be like, yo, I want to do what you're doing. And he was already good at it because he was a drummer. So I saw that. I was like, that shit looks fun. And then I just kept playing Rock Band. And then I got a real drum set. I just fell in love. You know what I mean? It was very, like, spontaneous and non-coordinated because I did not come from a musical family. I definitely come from a creative family. My mom was a fashion designer for like decades. You know, my brother's a fashion designer now. My sister's an illustrator, and I myself am a graphic designer. But none of us came from musical backgrounds, so it was pretty spontaneous. That was around third grade, I think, that I remember that happening. But we honestly, what would be more accurate is if we looked at the release of Rock Band. Just looked at whatever day that was, like a week later, beginning of Julian drumming.
Dude, Rock Band was awesome. You know, even though it wasn't a real drum set and it was just those plastic pads, you know, we rocked the fuck out of those things.
Yeah, dude. And you go back and play it, and it's unplayable because of all the lag and everything. You have to play like these updated, like modded versions, like Clone Hero and shit. But I tried to get the Wii one to play, and I couldn't play anything like how I played when I was however years old. But we made it work back then. You know what I mean? And that's what's really cool about it is we would stand in a room with our friends, and even though we were like the worst musicians in the world, a lot of us like actually like became musicians out of it. Formed bands. You know what I mean? Not the first time I've even heard that a group of people playing Rock Band together like just became a band in and of itself. So that shit's cool. So that's how I started.
Awesome.
And then like favorite drummers or musicians that just got me like serious about music.
Either or.
I mean, early on, like classic rock with my dad. I think that starts with like everyone. Everyone's into classic rock because of their parents. And I just remember my favorite being the progressive rock bands. Like once I got older. So that was like Yes, King Crimson, Pink Floyd. I remember one day, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, I'm not sure if I said that. One day my dad fucking showed me Relayer by Yes, and I was like, I didn't even know music could sound that ridiculous and over the top. And it was a spectacle. And then so that got me into like progressive metal because I remember like my first exposure to screaming music without me being like, was a prequel to the sequel by Between the Buried and Me, and that was on Rock Band as free DLC for the Wii. And so Blake Richardson quickly became my favorite drummer, biggest drumming inspiration. Then I got into weird shit. Billy Reimer became one of my biggest inspirations. I still can't play anything the Dillinger Escape Plan writes, but became one of my biggest inspirations. Just in like Chris Penny, just in terms of how I don't know, coordinated they were across just such chaotic music. So I don't know. So sorry to keep it so brief, but those are that's like origin and inspiration.
No, that was a great answer. So there was two things that I want to bring up after hearing all that. Number one is when you were listing all the classic rock bands and then you moved towards progressive rock, I was begging for you mentally to say Rush because I was going to go, "We are the Priest!
We are the Priest!" Yeah, dude, 100%. Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, my dad wasn't into Rush yet. I got him into Rush, and it was because of my friend Fawad. His dad's favorite band was Rush, so Fawad's favorite band was Rush. I got into Rush, showed my dad YYZ. He was like, I remember this band. I don't know why I never really listened to them. And, now me and my dad have like 5 or 6 Rush songs we fucking love. And there's some deep cuts that I just adore, like La Via Strangiato and that whole Hemispheres album. I think it's Hemispheres. Yeah, I have a whole new appreciation for music, honestly, because of my exposure to Rush, which happened at a totally different age than the rest of my classic rock exposure. So it's kind of a unique thing in itself.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Rush is freaking legendary band. If you don't like Rush, you're fucked in the head.
And Neil Peart's not overrated. So people love to say, like, because he's one of the best drummers, hands down, he's overrated. Dude is beast.
That happens with one of the best anything. You could say,
exactly.
Shawshank's a great movie. No, it's overrated.
Don't tell anyone that at one time I even said I don't like Metallica, which is complete bullshit. They're amazing. But you know what I mean? Like, I was definitely at one, age, at a certain age.
No, dude, you when I first met you, you were an actual elitist, like,
Metallica hater. Well, yeah.
No, every single band that had more than like 10 followers, you're like, this band sucks. I hate this band.
I stand by all of that. No, I mean,
Slipknot. They only have one good song, Disaster Piece.
Yeah, Disaster Piece fucking goes though. No, you're right. I was totally like elitist back then. It's crazy how much of that still like you see it in like these like older musicians that are in like the scene that just have no problem like shit talking people in their circles, you know what I mean? It's crazy how that continues. So it took witnessing it in other people for me to be like, yo, I'm just being a hater. This is like cringe, if anything. You know what I mean? This doesn't make me like, and like, how can you say Metallica's bad? They fucking rip. Have you heard Ride the Lightning? The whole album rips.
That's my favorite album by them.
Yeah, the whole album rips.
Yeah. I think I went through a similar experience. I was definitely more of a, if it wasn't metal, I'm not listening to it kind of guy.
Right.
And then over the years, I've expanded my horizon a little bit more. I mean, it's still my favorite kind of music out there.
Me too.
But there are other things. Like, remember when you first showed me 100 Gex?
You
at first,
like it.
Yeah.
To say, I am on a, but yeah, you hated it. More than hated it.
Yeah, but now I'm like bopping them all the time.
I mean, it takes time to, like, because it's the same thing with metal, and it's funny, this comes full circle. The first time I heard a screaming song, I don't know, that was honestly serious, not like Blood on the Dance Floor or like I Wrestled a Bear once, which I love anyways, but like I'm talking like Suicide Silence, or like I remember my first exposure to Mordecai by Between the Buried and Me. That was really my first, also like one of my first metal songs. I heard it and I was like, dude, this sucks. Like, I'm laughing. Like, this sounds like noise. And then you come back to it, right? You're like kind of fascinated like by how bad it is. You come back to it. Remember Surrounded by Silence by Design the Skyline? Remember that? Remember that one? I listened to that song 500 times. 499 of the times was because I was fascinated by how bad it was, and the 500th time I fell in love with it. There's like nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? It just happens. So it's,
dude,
it's crazy.
Great story, dude. So when I went to summer camp when I was like 13 years old, 14 years old. I remember like we would have time where we would be allowed to go to the computers.
Yeah.
We would be allowed to go to the computers and watch YouTube videos and stuff. And one of my counselors was showing us all kinds of weird bands and like weird music and stuff. And one of the things he showed us was Slipknot. He showed us the Duality music video. And I just remember being like, what the fuck is this? But it always stayed in my memory because of the masks. Yeah. And for years I would go back just to watch it, just to look at like how weird this video was. You know, there's guys coming from the ceiling. There's all these like emo looking people banging their heads, ripping apart the house. And I always thought it was such like a raw, like violent video. And then eventually one day I stopped watching it for the shock factor and started listening to it. And and look at me now, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at me now, dude.
Exactly.
It's the same thing with well, I don't know, with lots of bands. I've had that with so many bands, but even like the joke bands, like I Wrestled a Bear once that happened to me with. I remember you told me, I don't know if you feel this way about this specific band, but this is still a great story I kind of want you to tell, which is your first exposure to a band called Pacifist.
Yes. Believe it or not.
Love that song! Love that song! And it's not because it's objectively, you know, traditionally great music, what people consider. You know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, yeah, I want you to talk about your first exposure because I fucking love that story.
I think that we saw that music video when I was at summer camp. Actually, I think you showed it to me because there's no way summer camp guy would have showed us a video with a dildo.
You told me, like, you remember, you were like, is that a gummy worm?
Yeah, I didn't know what. I did I tell you I saw it at summer camp or no?
Yeah, with that. I think with that.
So then we did see it. That's outrageous. But anyway, the music video. I don't know if a lot of people know Pacifists. They're kind of a scene band.
Yeah, they're niche.
The music video is fucking outrageous. So it starts out with like a fake kids show, like Teletubbies or something. Like, hey kids, blah blah blah, and you think it's gonna be like a silly like spoof video, and then all of a sudden it gets violent, like really violent. Like the teddy bear starts killing people. What else happens? I think the most memorable moment is when the lead singer gets decapitated and he's singing and his head's floating in the air with all the sparkles.
That's the best part. The whole thing is memorable, and that's if you can pay attention to the visuals instead of the music, because it's also like I love the song, but other people's words.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. Some have called it an assault on the ears. But honestly, like, that's how so many people described any early music with screaming, because it came out during that, like, MySpace era. You know what I mean? There was, like, nothing of the sort back then, and then it all came out at once. So there's tons of people that hated it. But I personally love that band.
If anybody wants to watch the music video, the song is called Happiness. So just type in Happiness by Pacifist.
Pacifist.
And you'll see one of the most fucked up music videos.
It's really
the entire world.
I mean, it's really, I unironically love that song. They had other things come out as Pacifists, but they never did that great. So I think they reformed as a band called Sounding, which was really good. That was cool. And so I mean, look, I legitimately follow them. So
do you know how I actually discovered metal, dude?
I wasn't like an exposure to like Slipknot from camp. How'd you discover metal?
Like I saw metal, but like how I actually got into it. So when I was in high school, we would always eat lunch in the gym. Like we'd all pack out the bleachers, all the kids and stuff. And sometimes they would leave this Bluetooth speaker by accident from gym class the period before. And me and my friend Eddie, Eddie, we would always connect to it and play shit on the speaker like, like moans and stuff until a teacher would walk over and turn it off. And there's no way teacher would know who did it, Yeah. We were just rotten kids. Or we play like shit like just random people screaming and stuff just to scare the lunchroom. Yeah. But one day I connected to it and Eddie's like, play Iron Maiden. And I was like, I don't really like Iron Maiden. And at that point in my life, the only people that I knew that liked metal were all cringy, like disgusting, loser, like annoying people. So I hated like any kind of metal. I didn't want to be associated with it. Yeah. I didn't have like a cool metal influence in my life. So when I heard the name Iron Maiden, I was like, nah, dude, I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah, right.
And then he's like, no, trust me. And I put on Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden and blasted it to the whole gym. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. The solos, the riffs, like this is badass.
Yeah.
And I was hooked from there. I went home on YouTube, Iron
That's
Maiden
crazy.
rabbit hole, listened to like 50 Iron Maiden songs, and then the rest is history. It gradually got heavier and heavier and heavier from there.
I mean, that initial, like, there's nothing as special as experiencing that initial deep dive into something that is just a permanent, lifelong interest. Like, if I could go back and you know, come home from school, relive that feeling of going on to like a dated YouTube and typing in like, you know, I remember like all the lyric videos were Windows Movie Maker, you know, white text over the blue background with like terrible transitions. And like
Justin Bieber sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Justin Bieber sucks. Top 5 breakdowns, and it's like, man. I mean, I discovered so much. It was definitely one of the coolest experiences of my life because I've only had that really with metal. Like I have other interests, but nothing I've like sunk my teeth into like that. So that was crazy. And it was all. What made it special is even though we're young, we were still on the cusp of all that core shit coming out. I mean, we were on the ground floor. Maybe we were like 5 years late, but there were so many records today that are considered like metalcore, deathcore classics, whatever core classics that came out when in our, you know, musical infancy, discovery, you know, with that. So I don't know that you can't relive it. You know what I mean? It's
definitely
insane.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, me neither, man.
So to do a little transition, one of my favorite things when we first started hanging out, like whether it be after band practice or whatever, used to stay by me in Jersey. At night, you know, we would party, and we would take turns showing each other music videos.
Oh, dude, the best.
That was so much fun. We would just stay up all night showing each other different bands that we didn't know. Yeah. And I'll never forget when you showed me my first Dillinger Escape Plan live video, and they were doing a show at Virgin at they were doing a show in the middle of a mall at a Virgin CD store. Do you remember
Virgin
that?
Megastore, yeah. The big ones, yeah, nuts.
And you said he's Jesus. You'll find out why very quickly. And as soon as the concert started, the vocalist for the band ran out on top of the crowd, and he took at least 3 or 4 steps before falling. Yeah, on top of people's heads. Yeah, and it was probably one of the coolest, most like punk rock kind of. Not that they're a punk rock band, but you know, like most like anarchy kind of concerts.
I mean, they're totally punk. They got that energy. You know what I mean? Definitely. I know what you mean.
And as soon as the concert ended, the police were waiting on the side of the stage to arrest him.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly what happened. I mean, that for me was transformative in like, I always wanted to be in a band that was that explosive. Like, it was almost like, I mean, like they're playing mathcore, so much of it is so complicated. You really do got to pay attention, but at a certain point, the parts are so complicated, you could go nuts and nobody's going to know the difference. And that's what they did. Like, Dillinger did that so perfectly, and Greg Puciato was so animalistic that I loved that. I wanted that for every band I was in and had been in since. And I showed that to you, and I was like, you gotta walk on people's heads when we play shows now. Like,
yeah, too bad we would never have a crowd big enough.
or a stage. You know what I mean? So it's like, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely like laying the groundwork. I was like, should do this. You know what I mean?
Definitely had the energy to do stuff like that. We just never had a packed enough crowd. Back then, when you were showing me all these videos and showing me all these weird bands, some of them were actually good, and some of them you were just showing me kind of just like to shock me. There was like this one band that was like the name was just like a paragraph of just letters, like ABXXXEERRRQQQ.
Zavleg, it's some funny shit.
Bunch of random shit. But one band I remember you showing me back then was Dr.Acula. So you've been listening to them for forever. And I just want to ask you, like, how amazing is it now that you've been a diehard fan of this band forever, and now you're the fucking drummer for this band, touring all over the world?
Well, so now, I don't know about, first of all, thank you. And I don't know about all over the world, but hopefully soon. But it's definitely normal now, but it was really like, well, so far. All right,
so I have 2 things I could say. The first thing is kind of tying into our previous conversation. I first discovered Dr.Acula through a YouTube video called top 5 worst metal bands. And they I think some fedora wearing fucking asshole elitist, put them up there as like number 2. The other bands, I can remember them all. I think I know. I think I can remember them all. It was like Design the Skyline, Dr.Acula, Chelsea Grin, and I remember the reason for Chelsea Grin was 3 guitarists. They say I wrestled the bear once, and one other. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
All my favorites.
Yeah, literally all my favorite bands. But yeah. So, anyways, that's how I discovered Dr.Acula, and it didn't stop me from listening to them. The other thing is, so getting into that band was I almost fucked up. I almost fumbled the ball. The bag. I almost fumbled the bag because I had got a message from the vocalist Rob Accardi. He had said, he just said like, "Yo, doggy, what's good?" That's it. We had never talked before. He had done a vocal feature for my previous band, but we never spoke. He just like worked with my guitarist. They just paid for it and sent over the stems, just like any other, transaction like that. So he had done a feature for my band, but we had no correspondence prior. So his first message to me was like, like, what's good? And I ignored it for like 2 weeks because I was like, oh, this is my buddy Rob. Like, I'm just going to get back to him like later because me and this guy haven't talked in like a few years. And so like, I don't want to, like put like time on it. I want to be able to have time to have this conversation. But it wasn't this buddy Rob I was thinking of. It was vocalist of Dr.Acula. I was thinking of a different buddy Rob. I let the message hang out for way too long and finally realized, like, holy shit, why is the lead singer of one of my favorite bands reaching out to me? And immediately I'm just like, how's it going? Like 2 weeks later, and I was like, I blew it. No one's getting back to me. I basically ghosted them. And he was just like, we need a drummer. I was like, and that was it. So honestly, and from there on, I recorded just videos of me playing the songs. We got in a room together, and rest is history. You know what I mean?
So I'm a little confused from that story. Just so you said you messaged a different Rob by accident?
No, sorry. So I thought the Rob Accardi, vocalist of Dr.Acula, he had reached out to me and I let it hang for 2 weeks because I thought it was a different Rob. And I didn't want to send anything because that different Rob I hadn't talked to for a few years. I'm wondering what that different Rob is doing now, actually. I should probably reach out to him. But yeah, anyways, that's...
So what was that like when you first got your audition? Did you just send them videos of you drumming or did you actually go to meet them in person? And if you did, were you really nervous?
So, like you said, drummers are like unicorns. They had one other guy trying out. And I don't mean to be cocky, but like Dr.Acula is literally the perfect difficulty level for me. There's definitely some songs where there's like parts I could fuck up live, but for the most part, I don't. And I sweat. It's an ass beater, that set. But I knew I was going to kill it after I heard their set list through. So I wasn't really that worried. They said this other drummer wasn't really like, he was good, but he wasn't able to do like everything they needed. And so I wasn't that worried. Was that your question? I forgot the second part to your question.
My second question was, when you first started auditioning, did you send them videos?
Oh, yeah.
Did you meet with them in person? And if you met with them in person, were you really nervous?
Yeah, so I sent them just like videos of me playing the songs, and not to a click, so they just had to trust that I was playing on time. I wasn't. Didn't matter. They didn't know. And to this day, we're still we're about to start playing with a click, but I still man the tempo and everything. So that still worked out perfectly for us. And so I sent videos of me playing the songs from memory. And they were like, "Cool, this is great. Let's get in a room." And I wasn't really nervous about getting in a room with them because, like, again, I already knew it. You know what I mean? Like, I had the songs down pat.
You had the job.
Yeah, I had the songs down pat. Like, yeah. So I was trying to figure out a way to say it without seeming like I had a huge ego. But so I wasn't worried about getting in a room with them as much as I was worried about going to Queens with my drum gear and figuring out how the hell to parallel park in Queens. And that did suck, but I figured it out. To this day, hate parallel parking. Still terrified of it. I get it done, but I feel like every
especially in the city,
it sucks, man.
Like, it's one thing to do it, in the suburbs, but the city, it's oh shit. Everyone's beeping at me. Everyone's trying to kill me.
Dude, and it's like, oh, I'm like actively like there'll be a 1-lane, 1-way road, and there'll be parallel parking on both sides. You throw in your hazards to say I'm pulling into the spot. Instead of people waiting like 10 seconds for you to pull in, or at least get in there a bit, they just immediately start going around you. So now you're trying to also watch like how much can I turn, get the car. Anyways, it just sucks. Just sucks. Driving in New York City, don't. If you can train, just fucking do that.
I never do it anymore, dude.
Man,
even if I have to go to a Yankee game, I usually just take the bus and then subway.
We're about to have this Oceano show on April 13th. Dr.Acula is gonna be one of the opening bands for Oceano. It's gonna be awesome, and I am not looking forward to bringing my whole drum set to Brooklyn and trying to parallel park when I can hardly see out the window because everything's piled so high. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for Oceano, which is gonna be 6th show. So April 13th, 2024.
Wow, you guys don't even have like a U-Haul or something, like a little tiny cart you could put the drum in?
So we definitely have like a van, or rather have. I mean, we rent a van because we don't do like, like world tours right now. But we have a van that we can rent and bring with us if we're doing runs, if we're doing weekenders, for doing just basic tours. But if we're all just going to Brooklyn, I mean, they live in Long Island, I live in Connecticut. It's easier for us to just go there separate, you know what I mean? Rather than to meet up and then go there together. Because I'm 45 minutes from the city before the whole parking situation, then it takes 30 minutes to find parking. But, I'm 45 minutes from the city and there, however long hour. So, we make it work.
You guys are awesome. When I saw you live, I had a great time. And that brings me to my shirt. I put on my Zombie Shark shirt today.
Oh, shit! Yeah, dude, that's one of Corey's shirts. He's
shout out to
he's
Corey.
awesome. Yeah, shout out Corey, bro.
He actually drew the Minutemen Films logo.
Yeah,
for us.
Yeah, Corey's a fucking great artist.
Every time you see that, I think of Corey.
Yeah, he's doing all the
Goblin Talk logo. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Now the Goblin Talk logo you made.
I mean, I didn't do the illustration. I did the text. Jade did a great job with the illustration.
Yeah, I already shouted Jade out in the last one for the Goblin, but
that's tight.
So Jade drew the Goblin, and you made the rest of it. The text.
Yeah, it just kind of made the whole ensemble. The color.
So it's like a little bit of every piece of Minutemen Films coming together to make that. Because Jade's like our main costume and artist kind of person and makeup. She does all that stuff, special effects. Yeah, and
Jade's great.
Yeah, and then you were the assistant director on the movie that we made. I don't want to go into too much detail about the movie because when we do finish it and have a release date, every single Goblin Talk is going to be about the movie with a different person that was involved.
That's tight.
And I'll probably bring you back on for that.
That's tight. Yeah, I would love to talk about that. That was a really fun time.
It was a crazy experience. It's like all a blur because it really was only 4 days, but I feel like it was a lifetime.
Well, because it was 4 days of work, but weeks of prep. And what we learned is no matter how much you prep, you can't control anything. But we'll talk about that, sure, next time. Next ep.
Definitely. Yeah. So another thing I like to do here on Goblin Talk is every single guest I ask this question to. So because we are a movie-themed channel, we're a production company, and then we also talk about movies and shows and things like that. Every guest that we have on the Goblin Talk, I like to ask, what is your favorite movie of all time? If you don't have a favorite movie of all time, you could just list a few of your favorite movies. And if there's one that, we could talk about, I'll jump in and add to the discussion. But for now, what's your favorite movie of all time?
I used to have an answer, and it's fucked up to say that I forget. Like, how do you forget your favorite movie? It pisses me off because I was thinking about this the other day. Someone at work asked someone what their favorite movie was. I was like, damn, I don't even know what my favorite movie is. If I'm going comedy, like, I don't know. It sucks because I used to have answers up my sleeve. But, like, a movie I'd watch right now if I wanted to laugh that I haven't seen in fucking forever, Dewey Cox. Love that movie. So good. I'd watch that right now if I needed to laugh. Or, like, Tropic Thunder. What's the... Team America with the puppets.
Love that movie. You ever seen that
These
one?
are all great answers, yeah.
These are great answers.
I'm going to say let's not
Jackass, bro. Jackass.
Okay, there we
go.
I was going to say let's not focus on Dewey Cox because I have another friend that's going to come on that I already know it's their favorite movie, so let's talk about a different one. But Jackass is the perfect answer because me and you both relate to that one. Probably the
1,000%. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe I almost didn't think of that. And that's definitely the one I was thinking of the whole time because it's like, you know why? It's because those movies, they're so different than anything else. They're not cinema.
They're not comparable to
anything. They're not and so it's not what my mind jumps to when people start riddling off like, oh, I like a Requiem for a Dream. I haven't even seen that. I don't know. Godfather. I haven't seen that either. But anyways, it's like, you know, it's so different, but it makes me feel like I'm with my friends. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They have this brotherly like camaraderie where no matter what happens, you know, they all laugh together. If somebody gets pranked, you know, they're always a good sport about it. They always come together and they just love spending time with each other. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't get. They think they're just, you know, psycho masochists that like getting hurt. That's not really what it is. It's like the ultimate kind of friendship where they're all brothers and they just like pranking each other all the time.
There's nothing like it. And on top of all of it, on top of watching a magical friendship, it feels so stupid to call Jackass a magical friendship, but it is. On top
of the drama now. Bam! Steve-O.
Yeah, all the drama now, but also just the general nature of them being terrible to each other and that being friendship. But the reality is it's all love. But the other thing is, I forget.
They do break sometimes. Remember when Preston was like, I'm going to quit. I'm done. I'm fucking done, guys.
Anytime that Danger Aaron has been pranked, it has been mean-spirited. They really gun for him.
He's got a fucking gun, asshole.
Yeah, and they're just... I forget. Is that the end of Jackass 2?
Yeah, that's the terrorist skit.
Yeah, that's fucking... Every step of that is just terrible. I love it.
They put the pubes all over his face.
It's so...
Who brought crabs to the party?
Dude, you know, oh my God.
I love that because it's like on command. Because me and you have had moments like that where we both start throwing up at the same time.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That's what I was watching. That's so like brotherly too. It's like you're watching. Yeah, it's a great movie to watch with friends. You can get everyone to sit down at a party just by putting that on. Like literally, there's nothing like it. What I was going to say is,
command. As soon as he says, "Who brought crabs to the party?" Danger Aaron goes,
That's so good.
If you had to pick your favorite one, I already know the answer, but what's your favorite Jackass?
Well, you made a great point. We've had this previous conversation a million times. 3 is a spectacle. It has so many great pranks, but as they say, and you can observe in the movie, Jackass 2, they were on their worst behavior, and not that I encourage all the behind the scenes, you know, off the rails, you know, drugs and other antics they were pulling, but I love that one. Like Jackass 2, you could like, I don't know, Bam getting branded and then showing his mom.
You had the cutest butt and you ruined it.
That's like, it's like the worst thing ever to all parties involved. I love it, but 3 is great too. 1 is fucking great. I mean, 1 they're just kind of getting. They're only just figuring out what they can get away with the R rating and in the movie setting.
I think 1
so
feels a lot like the show. Like it's very raw and it's not as tight as the film. And I think the finale is bad. They cut the actual finale out of the movie. They just
trying to remember
cut
it.
To the very all it does is Johnny just gets launched into a lake and then it says Jackass.
Yeah, you're right. And then it ends. Yeah.
But what about the beginning?
An actual ending.
The beginning to Jackass 2 is hands down the best one, right? The beginning to Jackass 2.
I like Jackass 3's intro the best. So the kids are back.
Really?
That's my favorite of all time. It's perfectly synced to the music.
Bam getting kicked in the face in the cupcake. Love that.
Yeah.
Is that what happens to him? Yeah.
Or no, he gets hit with like a car. Like
he does.
No, he gets hit with like a hydraulic baseball bat in the stomach.
Oh, does he?
Something swings into him. Somebody else gets kicked in the face. I think it's Dunn is wearing a band.
Loved
costume.
Dunn, by the way. Loved Dunn.
Yeah. Rest in peace,
the best.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Dunn.
rest in peace. One of the best.
But I love it. And Steve-O goes straight into the fucking he goes into the ceiling fan.
Yeah, which is such a great callback because that was like that. He said that in his old apartment, he used to launch himself through the ceiling fan like
And
constantly.
break it all the time.
Or maybe it was the coffee table. Maybe it was everything. He probably
did
everything.
that too.
But I remember seeing that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, and if I had to rank the movies, because Jackass 3 was the first one I saw, and I think it's the most diverse film, it's definitely my favorite. Whereas I think 2 has too many bull stunts, and 4 has way too much dick stuff, and 1 is just not as tight of a movie. So 3 is always my favorite, but I understand people's argument for 2. Let me not do the other way around, because that means fuck you in England. So. 3 is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, they're equal because there's so much to love about both, and it's different. It's not like, oh, both, like which one is the better pranks? It's like, just watching them as people grow and be different. I don't know. That affects like, the movie. So I don't know. Both they're like tied to me, but my personal favorite is 2.
Do you have a favorite skit of all time? I know my favorite from 2. I'll say it after you say yours.
Well, I think the branding is probably the worst from 2. I'm trying to think of what else happened in 2 now, and I'm kind of blanking. I mean, there's the Bulls. That's the opening.
It's your favorite, and you don't even remember?
What, you know what my favorite is?
No, I'm saying it's your favorite of the Jackass movies.
Well, I'm on the spot. You know how it is when you're on the spot.
You want me to tell mine? Maybe it'll refresh your memory.
Yeah, tell yours.
My favorite moment from Jackass 2 is the electric stool bit. So they have this electric stool.
That's the best bit. That's the best one.
And they trick Wee Man to think that he's getting a card thrown into his ass. They get the world's best card thrower in the room. They show him throwing cards through pieces of paper, like newspapers, and they tell Wee Man he's going to throw the card at your ass. And Wee Man sits down on the stool, but the prank is he's not actually getting a card. They're just electrocuting him with an electric stool. And every time he sits down, they electrocute him and he jumps off. And eventually he figures out something's going on. He goes, "All right, you fuckers!"
It's the machine.
And he goes, "What's
so
going
good.
on?" And they're all laughing. And he goes,
Yeah.
"There's a card throwing machine here."
There's a machine.
It's so good.
And then
That
they cut
one's
to
fucking great.
Dave England's reaction. He's like crying on the floor, and
They're just like, yeah. And Tremaine is like, no. This is like
moment-
disappointment. He's like, no.
that moment of genuine confusion in
Yeah.
Wee Man's face, and then when he holds his head, like, "Oh, I'm such a fucking idiot,"
Dude,
that gets
like-
me every time.
that's like, because
All right, I hate to say it, but I've been there so many times when you're the butt of the joke and you don't even know it. And then you think you know it and you still don't fucking know it. It's like, but watching that happen to someone else, that's fucking hysterical.
I love it. That's one of my
That's a great
favorite
one
bits
too,
for sure.
because a lot of times you show people Jackass, and there's like gross shit, and like,
Yeah.
if you have girls in the room, even if they're like, I've had friends from college, like girls were over or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I love Jackass," and it's like, "Do you really love
They
Jackass?"
have no idea. They have no idea.
20 minutes
Oh.
into it, they're like, "Turn this shit off." It gets nasty.
On that note, because now you definitely got the gears working. Another one where someone's just the butt of the joke and it's just so funny and it's terrible. Anytime they force Bam into a space with snakes, it's gold. It's fucking gold immediately. And I don't know if 2 is the pit or in the middle of the van where they lay the tarp down, or maybe it's on the way to the van, or if 2 is when they have him in the magician suit and make him think he's doing a different bit and then trap him with the I don't know what it was, anaconda or something.
I know the answer. So they lock
Which
him
one?
with the magic. The magic bit is the King Cobra, and that's in Jackass 2.
That's
and
in 2.
Jackass
Oh,
3
so good.
is the one with the fake turf that he falls through, because they
that's
told him
3?
to do. Yeah, they told him to do Rocky, and I know Rocky is in Jackass
Yeah.
3 because they had the
Okay.
slow-mo cam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anytime they put, especially the second
I've
one, because he's in the
Rockied you
cage.
before.
And then,
I've
all right.
Rockied you before. I gotta show
That-
that clip.
That
Remember
is
when I Rockied you in college? It was like a thing. I started doing it like every time we hung out.
Well, I don't think you got me more than once until I came back for like a party. You hadn't done it for a while. You did it once. You attempted it a few more times. I did the flower thing, which didn't work. I almost broke your neck. I basically smacked you in the back of the head with a bag of flour. I was supposed to just fill the pillowcase with flour and have it explode anywhere. But it literally, I watched your head go like, it hit you like a rock.
Yeah, the powder didn't
sounded like it hurt.
You tested it on Vince the next day, and the whole entire kitchen was covered in powder. It didn't work on me, but then you completely fucked Vince.
Oh my god. But yeah, you did get me with the Rocky that one time, and then I wasn't expecting it for months, and then you got me again another time. But I don't think there's a clip of the other time. The other time was at your place after college, I think. I was at your folks. I was at your mom's, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
And
so you got it all over her house. All the water.
Yeah. My Rocky is just a nice crisp slap to the face. The Rocky in Jackass is like a full-on punch. It's fucked up.
They can afford... Yeah, I mean, the way that happens in Jackass, I think, like, the 2 out of the 3 times, they've broken noses. So it's like... I mean, that's what you're not aiming, so you're just... You know what I mean? It's kind of a guarantee.
They also did... In one of the Jackass movies, they did a cannon. Where Johnny would place a cannon behind somebody... and then light it and have like a little cannonball shoot into their ass. Probably a tennis ball, but from close range.
I think I remember. Hurts. You know what's a great bit that's similar is when they have this is literally just a good bit. It's not even like gnarly, but they have the pneumatic boxing glove powered by that piston behind the wall in the hotel, and they put a love note over it. And they have everyone get close and try to read it, and then the boxing glove comes out. They had to put Wee Man on a stool to get high enough to read it. And it's knocked out the
stand up on this thing and read that.
Yeah, it's so
You guys hooked up with my sister, but I don't care about that.
Dude, you remember it perfectly, but I don't care about that. Yeah, that was it. That's a good bit. Good fucking bit.
Yeah, dude.
Those are definitely my favorite.
We could talk about Jackass forever. We could go into every single bit, break it down.
Yeah.
I really like Jackass 4. I think that it got a lot of hate because there was too much dick stuff, but it came at a time where none of us had really been into the movie theater in probably like over a year, maybe a year and a half because of COVID. Yeah. And I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
You came all the way down to New Jersey just to watch it with me. Remember that?
I left work. The drive was going to be an hour and a half to get to the theater. Yeah, like an hour.
We had a whole row.
Maybe an hour.
We had that whole row in the theater of just friends.
Maybe only an hour from where I was because I was leaving from work. But it was in the middle of an ice storm. You can watch a video Steve-O did on releasing it. He mentions that the whole East Coast, their box office earnings were fucked because of this ice storm that just covered everything. But I didn't care. I hopped in my shitty Mitsubishi, which definitely should not have been on those roads, and drove on an empty highway, not even trucks on it, in an ice storm to get to a theater in New Jersey where we were like the only people in it. We partied in the car before the movie. The parking lot was pure ice. And there was no one in the theater, and somehow I didn't get a seat next to you, which is crazy because we're like the Jackass ringleaders. But it was still a great fucking time.
I didn't want to be mean to the guy who did.
Tell someone to get up. I was also like, man, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
But that was a great fucking time.
If there's a Jackass 5, I'll make sure we sit next to each other.
I mean, Johnny said there's gonna be, so there's gonna be a Jackass 5.
When did he say that? That's awesome.
He said there's gonna be more. He said he's not gonna personally do it anymore, but he's gonna get younger dudes to do it. Yeah, exactly. He's gonna get younger dudes to do it. So he's gonna be, in Tremaine's role, and they're gonna get him anyways. He won't be able to help himself. He's gonna throw himself into some of the skits.
He'll no bull stuff. Pranks. Yeah, pranks and stuff.
No bull stuff. But that was a great time. Good movie. And to what you said about all the wiener content. Say what you will, but that shit's still funny to me. I don't care. Yeah. Some of it's too much and physically makes me cringe, but that's what Jackass is supposed to do. So at least it's certain ones.
The hardest I remember laughing actually happened within the first 20 minutes of the movie. I was like crying in the theater. I was like almost literally tears coming out of my eyes from laughing is when they did the Silence of the Lambs bit.
I didn't say that. And, dude, Aaron and Zach.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
No, Dave
gold.
England. Dave England and Danger Aaron.
Oh, Dave is like,
Poopies
we're gonna
was
fucking
with Zach.
die. Dave is like,
Poopies
we're gonna
was-
fucking die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poopies was with Zach, and Zach was climbing on the mouse traps, and Poopies goes, I thought Zach was getting murdered in there.
Yeah, he's trying to escape something, and instead he's crawling on a table of thumbtacks, and it rolls over onto a bed of mousetraps. Oh my god, gold. Fucking gold. Yeah.
But the hardest that I laughed the whole movie is when Danger Aaron opens the door to the next room and he runs right into the pot hanging.
Yeah,
from the
it was just
ceiling.
hanging,
It goes,
yeah. It makes like a cartoonish noise. You would
Yeah.
think they added that in the edit, but that is probably the real sound it made. They're real
I mean,
life
they could
cartoon
have added
characters.
it in the edit. They do
No,
that sometimes. They've
no, I
admitted to
know.
it, especially with electricity, because it doesn't make a good
Yeah,
noise
it's not
sometimes.
audible. Yeah, it's
So
not
they have
audible.
to add the zap, but it's okay. They're still really doing it. They're not.
I
faking
mean,
it.
look, it's their hands off when it gets to that stage, anyways. So I mean, everything they do, by all accounts, is genuine. I fucking love them for what they do. They're like
Yeah.
that's reality TV actually being real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So enough about Jackass for now. We could definitely talk about it for forever, but
We'll keep it brief.
am I right in saying The Simpsons is your favorite show of all time?
Jeez. I mean, I grew up watching The Simpsons with my dad, like under the radar of my mom, under my mom's nose every time. Like I'd get up like an hour early each morning before my mom with my dad so we could watch a few episodes. And as soon as she started to descend the staircase to make coffee, my dad would like turn on like whatever. He'd be like, oh, we're just watching whatever. And so we had like such a special bond growing up because of that. My dad is the fucking coolest. Love my dad and my mom, but that was just like a really cool memory. So I want to say that just because of what I formed with my dad, but I don't know, like for the same like if you ask me right now, name your favorite Simpsons episode, I'd have trouble. I'm not sure if that's just because I'd be on the spot because I've seen every single one, but it's like is it just because I'm on the spot or what? I don't know, but I think the show, like this show is a big part of my childhood. The show is a big part of my teen years in high school and college that I still have trouble watching, but love is Tim and Eric Awesome Show.
Yeah,
that
awesome.
I can't say it's my favorite, but it's by far one of the most important shows I've ever watched. I've seen that show. If you know what I'm talking about, that show is so unique in concept and form and execution that so little goes such a long way for that show. And sometimes all you could take is so little, but it's literally the foundation for like my comedy, my interest creatively, and in terms of graphics too. It established so much for me. So I love that show just for existing.
I wouldn't even say that that's a good show, honestly. Like, there's a lot of episodes that are total
They're
duds.
just bad. I love them though.
But
you know what I
it's
mean?
such an inspiration to, independent filmmakers and things like that because they got on TV and they have a die-hard following. So it shows that you should have the same mindset when you go to make something. We're going to make it because we think it's funny. If nobody else thinks it's funny, that's okay. We're not going to just do what everybody else is doing. We're going to do what we think is funny. And sometimes it's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. There's been Tim and Eric episodes where, I've been hysterically laughing. There's also been some other ones where I've been so grossed out that I had to turn off the TV. I still respect the effort that they put into that episode.
1,000,000%. And the amount of like random people they can get to just show up in a bit for 5 minutes shows how their influence across Hollywood because those people aren't getting paid big bucks.
They must be the nicest, coolest guys ever because they have
1,000%
all over Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. And so that also just like not watching the show, just using it as an example for like I don't know how you should be as an artist, as a creator. They must be nice people, like you said. You should make friends and network because they're not just handing these guys a check. That's my assumption, at least, because that show doesn't look super high budget. In the early seasons, they had a lot of important people on it.
So you'll see an episode, all of a sudden, oh, there's Weird Al. Oh, there's Michael Cera. Oh, here's fucking Bobby Bacala on the toilet.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. It just goes to show that like I don't want to be cringe, but anything's possible. You know what I mean? It really no. It sets a bar for like how you could do so much with. I don't want to say so little. Again, I don't know what their budget was for the early season. It could have been a lot, and they just spend a lot making it, very like corny and I don't know, would the term be like gaudy, novel, whatever. But yeah, it feels like definitely like you don't need $1 million to put on like spectacle. Like
you do need $1 billion to make the greatest movie of all time.
You do need $1 billion to run a mall though, to run a stupid fucking mall.
Diamond Jim
Joe Kelly. $1 billion on a suit.
That movie too is another good example of just fucking make a movie. Even if it's weird and doesn't make a lot of sense, it's still worth watching.
I think they said, though, that they lost money on that movie, or Adult Swim did, and that it's kind of why there's not another movie. I think I remember that. But as far as the show is concerned, I mean, but the movie too. Just if you have a movie, just fucking make a movie. Don't do what they did, assuming what I said is right, and borrow however many dollars to make it. But like, we made a movie. And we did it with, a limited budget, very limited budget.
Yeah.
No investors.
They probably had a couple $100,000, maybe $1 million or $2 million. We
exactly.
had like 4,000, and half of that was buying our camera.
Yeah, exactly. And the other was buying the cast lunch. No, I'm joking, but
for real, that is a lesson of like how you should just like get up and go. DIY becomes big boy shit very quick if you're willing to like put effort into it. So. That's the approach we both take into fucking everything. So I'm not saying Tim and Eric is the reason I am, like a go-getter, or you as well. But it definitely is like something I look at as more than just like entertainment. It definitely like set the groundwork for like, certain things I could do, expectations, etc.
Everything that we like that is stupid, there's always a deeper meaning behind it. So I'm glad that, we could talk about things like Jackass, Tim and Eric, whatever, and there's always a deeper reason of why we like something. It's not just, because we're dumb.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's dumb content for sure, or it can be.
Like dumb comedy. It's funny,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's so much more than comedy, like you said. So when it is, at least, not every piece of comedy I've watched, I overanalyze. I'm like, that changed my life. Like sometimes an episode of South Park is just an episode of South Park. But anyways, everything you said though.
Awesome. Well, I think we could wrap it up here. It was really awesome having you on, Jay. We definitely have to do another episode in the future, whether it's for telling the story of, making Stranger Rager or VSW, or maybe just in general of having you on another episode. So I really appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, bro. Let's do it.
And Diego, if you're watching this, fuck you. No, all love, and this was a lot of fun, so it'll be dope to do it again.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jay.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you.